Hi guys, I'm MacDermott and I'm back with another Conquest Academy interview. It's a really exciting one today. We've got Chelsea's Wady. He's a young, promising young goalkeeper. He's represented by Conquest and he's just signed his Chelsea pro deal. Ethan, how are you doing, mate?
Yeah, I'm doing great, thank you. How about yourself?
Yeah, I'm really good, thank you. How's lockdown treating you?
Not too bad, you know. I mean, it's a bit boring, but can't really complain. I think a lot of people out there have a bit worse right now, so yeah,
Of course,
doing well.
the one thing I really like to start on, go all the way back to when you were younger. I know it wasn't too long ago for you. How did you get into football?
Oh man, thinking back the years now. So back when I was 4 or 5, I think. So my family never really played sports or played football, but my dad being English, he had another English friend who coached a football team back in the US. So he was the one who kind of introduced me, and that year I made some of like my closest friends to this day, and yeah, so we all just kind of learned the game together, and that's where we kind of learned a passion for it.
You mentioned the US. Obviously, you grew up there and stuff. You made a massive decision to move over to England. What was the basis behind that?
Yeah. So my dad actually got a job offer. So yeah, about 3 years ago now, I think 3 years in July, he got a job offer, and so we kind of packed up shop and went across sea.
And obviously, you got on board with Conquest fairly quickly after that. What's your relationship with those guys like?
I mean, I've been loving Harry and Connor recently. I mean, they're my agents obviously, and they've helped me discuss for a contract, which I'm buzzing about. So yeah, I'm really close to the guys, and honestly couldn't be more thankful for them.
And they're really hands-on with you, aren't they? I believe Harry speaks to you on a day-to-day basis. You're really close.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of guys, like I'm lucky for football, a lot of guys don't get as much contact with their agent as I do. So Harry's always checking in on me, asking how I'm doing, asking if there's anything that I need help with or anything that he can kind of do for me. So yeah, I'm really lucky to have them.
And it's sort of helped your progress, hasn't it? You've gone from strength to strength since being under them.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, last season there's a rut where I wasn't getting as many games, so they helped me make the decision to go out into a men's team and try and get my introduction to men's football. So that was fantastic for me, and I got lots of experience there. So yeah, they've definitely been a help.
I was going to speak to you about your loan spells. You obviously went off to some non-league football. It's a big change, isn't it, from playing age groups?
Yeah, it is. It's a lot different from physicality and just from a mentality standpoint as well. I mean, there's nothing wrong with academy football in the UK. It's a fantastic program, but it's a completely different level when you get into men who are, there's a lot more passion for it, and everyone's just there to play the beautiful game.
Do you find that in adult football, it's like any little mistake sort of leads to a goal? I've spoken to some young defenders and they say that step up, literally any slight error in judgment leads to conceding.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's 100% a learning curve for any player who goes up to that level. I remember like in the first game, I was thrown right into the deep end, and we had a competition with one of the top teams in the division. So it's 100% a new level, and you really have to kind of focus up and be on top of your game. But everyone makes mistakes. It is part of the game. So the important bit is kind of how you recover from that and how you learn from those mistakes that you do make. So yeah, definitely a new level, definitely mistakes that do get punished and that are made, but it's incredible for the development of a young player.
People say that, don't they? You learn more from actually making mistakes and your losses than you do from having everything plain sailing. Do you sort of buy into that?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, especially as a goalkeeper, if we make a mistake, 9 times out of 10, it directly leads to a goal. So 100%, I think that when you make a mistake, it's something that you actually take note of and you kind of think about after the match. Especially like from the time I was playing back in the US to now, there's been plenty of times where I've been sitting in the car driving back home after a game. I've conceded a goal and I'm like thinking to myself, I'm chatting to my mom, I'm chatting to my dad, I'm saying like, I could have done this, I could have done that, I should have done this instead. But it's just kind of those lessons that you learn from that and lessons that you can kind of take away and help to improve your game in the future.
Obviously, you're a big part in the Chelsea Academy at the moment, but you took a different route than a lot of other players. I imagine the players who you play with have been in the ranks since a really young age, whereas obviously you've moved over. How difficult was it for you to settle in when you first started?
Great question. Well, when I first came over, I was about 15 years old. So it was a massive change for just me at that point in my life. At that point in life, it was my first year in American high school. Not quite sure what English year it is, but it was a big transition in my life anyways. So to completely uproot and change into a different country, it was learning a new culture, learning a new type of people and a new way of life. So yeah, it was 100% different to the life I'd kind of grown accustomed to back in the US. I first came in and there was a lot of boys who'd been with the club since they were, 8, 9 years old and played with the same guys that entire time. In the US, where I was playing, the system was different, where the team could change every single year. So you didn't have that necessary relationship that was kind of established in UK football. So going in, of course, it's difficult. Of course, it's challenging. There's a ton of people who've known each other forever, and you're this kind of new guy coming in. No one really knows who you are, and you kind of have to prove yourself to all of them. So it's 100% different progress and process. But yeah, no, I mean, took my time, started to get into the training sessions, and over the past 2 years, I've grown really close to some of the lads.
It must be quite surreal for you, as a young boy who grew up playing football in the States, to be playing and training in and amongst the likes on the same pitches where back in the day, Lampard, Terry, Drogba,
Yeah.
all of those guys obviously trained at the same place you're at now. That must be quite a cool thing for you.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I was a Chelsea fan growing up as well, actually. So I remember those times when I was young and I was chatting to some of my childhood friends, and we always would have these kind of hypotheticals of like, imagine if one day one of us was over in the UK playing like with Chelsea, or one of my friends was a Liverpool supporter, so for him it was like with Liverpool. And we always kind of had those conversations. Then when the opportunity finally came and I got this message from Chelsea saying, hey, we're going to get you in on a 6-week trial, it was entirely surreal. It was that idea of like, this is a club that I've grown up supporting. I've seen, Drogba, I've seen Terry, I've seen Lampard, I've seen Peter Cech, I've seen all these people who I've looked up to as I've grown up, and I'm getting to be in the same kind of boots that they were in, and I get to be in the same type of position that they were. So I'm incredibly grateful, and I'm incredibly lucky that I've gotten the opportunities that I have to be able to be where I am today. But I hope that in the future I just kind of use that as motivation to keep working and hopefully strive to have the careers that some of them have had.
Obviously, as a goalkeeper and a Chelsea fan, I imagine Peter Cech must have been a huge hero for you growing up.
100%. Yeah, definitely.
And obviously, you must be so proud that you've signed your pro deal now, because I know it's been a while in the pipeline and stuff, but to get it finally over the line, that must be like a lifelong ambition finally achieved.
Yeah, I mean, every boy, every boy in the UK for certain, and a lot of boys in the US, they have that dream of signing a professional contract for a club like Chelsea since they're a little kid. So, I mean, of course, there's tons of work that I've had to put in behind the scenes, and there's a bunch of stuff that I've had to do to earn that. But I'm incredibly grateful that I get to be, that one in a million that has gotten that opportunity. So yeah, it's massive, and I'm incredibly happy about it.
I guess one of the big things people don't see, you say about your own sacrifice in terms of how hard you train, how much work you put in, but also a lot goes on behind the scenes in terms of your family and your parents and stuff, doesn't it? Tell us a bit about them and how they've supported you over your time.
Sorry, can you say that again?
Tell us a little bit about how much they've supported you and stuff. Obviously, you made the big move with them anyways, but
right.
They support you.
Well, again, I mean, I've got a really close relationship with my parents, and thank God that I do. But they've been 100%, involved with my development in my career so far. Coming over to the UK, none of us really knew the system. None of us really knew what to expect. So it was just kind of a learning curve for all of us to come together and try to kind of work it all out. So a lot of the stuff from a football standpoint, we've kind of just, left to Harry and Connor. We've left to the coaches. We left to the people who are experienced and who know the system very well. And we've just kind of been along for the ride. But they're always there for me no matter what it is. And I know that it's a great assurance to me that no matter what decisions I make, no matter what hardships I'm going through, that they've always got my back. So yeah, I'm incredibly grateful to have them.
It must be quite refreshing for you to have, like, as you say, a strong support network, but also with how Harry and Connor are, they just sort of take care of everything off the pitch, and you can literally just focus on your own progress. That must be really helpful for a young player.
It's a massive relief. I mean, there's a lot of things that young players have to consider as they're starting to go into these phases. And it's not good to say, but I feel that sometimes when players try and take on that responsibility with themselves, they can get a bit distracted from what their job is. And at the end of the day, that's to keep the ball out of the net. So to have Harry and Connor to be able to take on those responsibilities so that I just have to worry about getting to be the best goalkeeper that I can be, it's a massive relief. Plus, it helps from a family standpoint as well. It's not my parents having to stress out about it. It's not my dad having to worry about it. It's not my mom. They can just kind of focus on their lives and their work as well. So all of us can just get on a bit better.
I know you've been popping into the Instagram lives over lockdown in terms of and stuff. What have you made of those? And
yeah.
It's a great initiative, isn't it? Just to help people stay active and give them something to do during lockdown.
Yeah, it's fantastic. I mean, honestly, some of the sessions have been pretty tough that I've been in on. I'm in a lucky enough position where I've got the resources, to supply me with workouts and supply me with whatever I need during this time. But there's a lot of people who don't have that. So I think it's great that Harry and Connor are running those programs because, the people who want to be better at football, the people who want to stay fit, or people who are just kind of bored can kind of hop in and get something out of it instead of just sitting around at the house.
You're obviously a very young person yourself still. What tips would you give to any young aspiring footballers who are looking to follow the pathway that guys like yourself, your brother, and other young footballers have gone into?
Good question. If I had to give one piece of advice, I would just say enjoy the game. Because I remember when I was young, yeah, there were competitions, yeah, there was a bunch of other stuff, but growing up and playing the game is about making friends and it's about enjoying the time I had. So at any point, you should always just be enjoying the game that you're playing because football's fantastic, honestly. I mean, there's a reason it's called the beautiful game, and it's because it is beautiful and it can bring so many people together. So while you're playing, yes, if you want to be a football professional, then put the work in and give it your best. But the important thing is that you really enjoy your time while you're playing.
It's a big thing, isn't it? Because sometimes when players are really young, they get pushed a little bit too hard. They sort of fall out of love with it, and you never know how good they could have become. There's probably a lot of players who could have gone on to great things who literally just fell out of love with it because of a certain coach or how they were made to train.
Yeah, no, entirely. I mean, there's immense pressure on people who are trying to learn the game in the UK, especially just because of how much competition there is. So I 100% think that having that passion, having that love for the game is a massive driving factor, and it's crucial to anyone who wants to get to the top level.
Another thing you must be incredibly proud of is the fact that you've been selected in the US youth squads. You've been in a few squads and stuff. That must be immensely proud for you as somebody who grew up over there as an American yourself.
Yeah, of course. I mean, especially in America, or as an American for me, getting that call to the national team. I've not unfortunately gotten the chance to actually represent them in a game yet, but being called up to the training camps and kind of seeing your name on that list when it's finally released it's a massive, you swell with pride and you kind of rejoice with your family and are just astonished at the fact that you are getting a chance to represent your country. And I think for anyone at any place that's a fantastic pride and a fantastic thing.
And there's been some great American goalkeepers, hasn't there? When you think about it,
Yeah.
Udo Goose and Tim Howard. There's a good heritage of goalkeepers from your country, which is actually footballing wise, respectively, not a superpower.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the US team has had a couple of difficult spells recently, not qualifying for the last World Cup, for example. But we do have a pretty good history of goalkeepers. So hopefully that's a good sign. I'm kind of worried I might have to shave my head, but hopefully avoiding that, we can still get to a good point.
Obviously, you've been around for a few years and you've achieved quite a bit already, to be honest, in such a short space of time. But I guess it's all about the next level now, the next step for you. What do you see as your sort of ambition in the next couple of seasons?
Yeah, 100%. I think for the next couple of seasons, the most important thing for me is that I want to keep learning the game and keep being around the men's side of football. So I'm hoping next season I can kind of look to go out into the men's team and continue that experience that I started last season. In the time that I had last season, I played, I think, 10 games. And in those 10 games, I think I learned more than I did the rest of the season, in all honesty. So I think that as a young player, it's vital that I get that experience and that I can just, have that appreciation and knowledge of the game. So the next, 2, 3, 4 seasons, I think it's all about me learning the adult game and trying to push up to as high of a division as I can get.
And that's a great mindset to have, isn't it? Because some young footballers, you see what happens, they sign a deal, they start splashing the cash a little bit, going out partying and stuff, and that can really curtail your momentum and derail your career.
Yeah, definitely can. I mean, you have to be careful. I think, there's a lot of things that young footballers nowadays have to be worried about. And I think that a lot of the club does a lot of things to kind of talk to us about, spending our money wisely and understanding that we know our kind of responsibility that we have. So I think it's important that, we set a good image and we act as good role models to the society around us. I don't think that it's, important to go out partying and, splashing cash everywhere. I think that we have a responsibility to kind of show the next generation how they should act and how they should be.
I know Harry and Connor quite well, and I imagine they're really good at keeping your feet on the ground and keeping you grounded as well in that type of, that role.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, going back to the kind of relationship that me and Harry have, he's always, him and I see very eye to eye on a lot of things. So I think we both have a very similar mentality about that. But he did an interview a couple of weeks ago where he's talking a lot about just it's important that you stay motivated and that you have a drive and that you keep that discipline, and that no matter kind of what, if you have that discipline, you will find success in one way or another, whether that's through football or some other means. And I fully agree with the message that he was kind of saying. I think it's important that everyone has that discipline. Everyone does stay motivated to kind of keep on the right track to hopefully achieve something great.
Ethan, your story's been incredible so far. I'm just going to finish off with some quick fire questions. Literally, say whatever comes to mind as quickly as possible.
All right, can do.
What's your favorite cheat meal?
U.S. cookout burger, out west style, with 2 chicken quesadillas.
I don't know.
U.S. fast food chain.
Taste, but it sounds.
Well, you don't have a clue what that is, but it's fantastic. It's this like big greasy burger. 100%. That'd be if I could choose one thing in the world, it'd be that.
Who's the best player you've played with so far?
Ooh, do friendlies count?
Yeah, any sort of football.
Okay. In a friendly, I'd probably say Billy Gilmore. I know he's been breaking into the first team recently, but honestly, he's just a different level. The technical ability and just the work rate that he has is honestly amazing. So yeah, 100% him, I'd say.
If there was a film about yourself, who would you like to play you?
Oh, I've got no clue, That's a good question. I actually don't know that.
All right, we'll move on. If you could pick a power from any superhero who's ever lived, which one would you pick and why?
I think I'd pick telekinesis.
Okay.
Like, like the ability to kind of move things with your mind. Growing up, I was a massive Star Wars fan, so I was always like, me and my brother play in the background with the plastic lightsabers. So
Who was your favorite?
We always like joked around about. Sorry.
Who's your favorite character
in Star Wars? I always loved Plo Koon. He's one of the guys in the prequels. Yeah. So yeah, I was a massive nerd about that growing up, but we'd always kind of joke about how cool it'd be if you could like sit down and use the Force on the door or something. So I think that'd probably be the closest to that.
If you could pick any animal to live the rest of your life, which one would it be and why?
I'd probably choose my dog.
Okay.
I think he gets spoiled quite a bit. Yeah, has an easy life, just sleeps and eats. Yeah, I think that seems like a pretty nice way to go out.
And if you weren't a pro footballer, what would you be now?
Well, realistically, a university student. I would hope. I'd probably be looking to go back into university back in the US. Yeah, and not exactly sure what I'd be doing as a career, but probably something along the humanities lines. So I've always loved history, so I think that I would try and use some of that and hopefully get a profession that could kind of rely on some of that information that I've gotten over the past couple of years.
Ethan, it's been a pleasure to talk to you. You've been so great. Obviously, good luck for the future. Stay safe during lockdown, and it's been great having you on.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. Stay safe.
You too, buddy. Thank you.
Thank you very much.